You are listening to Indie Radio, where we do content the indie way.
Hey everybody out there, it's Moses J. Mosley. You may know me as one of Michonne's pet walkers from the hit AMC TV show The Walking Dead. And you guys should definitely listen to Talking About Walkers.
We deserve to live in peace. Negan and the Saviors try to take that away from us. Alexandria, the hilltop, the kingdom, and Oceanside came together to fight for a better future. We won.
He's dead!
But not without painful losses. Today, we try to heal, try to forgive. Now the work begins. The new world begins.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Indie Radio presents Talking About Walkers, the Walking Dead podcast, the show that breaks down all new episodes of your favorite zombie TV show right here on indieradio.org. And now, here are the hosts of the podcast, Kinte, Jen, and Olaf. Hello, and welcome to an all-new episode of Talking About Walkers, the Walking Dead podcast. Hello, welcome to Talking About Walkers, the Walking Dead podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kinte, all the way live from Los Angeles, California, and I'm so happy to be here with you on this wonderful night. I am joined by my co-hosts. First up to bat is the lovely, lovely Jen. How you doing, Jen?
Awesome. I can't even tell you. I can't even tell you how excited I am about season 9. I was so excited before. Now I'm even more excited now that I've seen the episode. We have so much to talk about.
All right. And also joining us is that man all the way from Indiana, the one and only Olaf.
Hey, how you all doing tonight? Yeah, I know Jen's really excited to talk about tonight's episode, but that's for a different reason. It's like season 9 kicking off. This is really, I think this is going to be a really good season. They've already started off the show good, and I think so. It's going to be interesting to talk about tonight's episode.
Yes. So this is actually our 101 episode. We just celebrated our 100th episode Thursday night with a season 9 preview. So now we're on the back end, on the backside of 100, which is crazy. You know, I remember when we started it, I would have never thought we would have been going at it this long, and these many episodes is crazy.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and a long ride, but a good fun ride though. It's been good.
You know, it's funny for those who are just listening the audio podcast. They can't see, but Olaf has a picture, and it's him with a mailbox. I've been meaning to ask you, what's the deal with the mailbox?
Oh, that is the mailbox in front of Carol's house with the A on it.
Oh,
that is the actual mailbox in front, because, well, you know, I go to Atlanta for Walker Stalker Con, which is coming up this month. But and there was some friends of mine. They know where the locations, the shoot locations are. So I was actually able to go to, you know, the house that Carol went to that had the fence around it and stuff.
Right.
And that's the mailbox in front of that house.
Nice.
Okay. Oh wow! See, I've been meaning to ask you about it, and
and you all call me a nerd. Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, and I have pictures of the Saviors, that satellite radio station thing. I got pictures of that. A few other places too that were shooting locations for The Walking Dead.
Awesome.
All right. Yeah, that is pretty awesome. Yeah, I did not know that. So
yeah. But now, it's almost like I said, if you look at it, what I'm pointing to on the mailbox is the A that's carved into it.
Okay, yeah, it's hard to see that. Yeah. Oh, okay, that's pretty awesome. I did not know that, but someone told me to ask you about that.
Yeah, that's what that is. That's the mailbox in front of Carol's house.
All right. Well, okay. I was wondering. I said, did he like, I don't know, get drunk and accidentally punch his way mailbox or something? I didn't
look,
ask
look, like, oh, look, I'm home. Mailbox, I'm home.
that. I had a feeling that it had to have some kind of significance, but yeah, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, unfortunately, before we get into the episode tonight, we have some sad news that we have to talk about.
Yeah.
Starting out, actor Scott Wilson, who played Herschel on The Walking Dead, unfortunately passed away recently. He was a terrific actor. He was just he was fantastic on the show, and just a really good actor. I hear some background. I think it might be from you, Olaf. There we go. Yeah, it's gone now. But Olaf, you had actually had an opportunity uh, to meet him several times, right?
Yes, I've actually said through going to the conventions, I had run into him like on the convention floor and afterwards, and he would come out and he'd come out and hang out with everybody, and he was just really down to earth, a really nice guy. He just very approachable. Always had a smile on his face. Always had a kind word. It's like never. It's like just a super great guy. Yeah, it's he's gonna be missed. That's definitely for sure.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate that he passed away. He was 76 years old. So he was he was an older guy, but he was a young man too as well for to die. I want to go to you, Jen. What was your thoughts?
Well, it was really super bittersweet to know that Maggie named her son Herschel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it like it actually sort of made me tear up. There's just that, I don't know. There's some beautiful symmetry. I hope he knew that before he passed on. I really hope that he knew that they had named another character after his character, because that seems so significant. But again, just like Olaf said, God, he really just seemed like such a rock and anchor, for not just the past cast, but even for the present cast. And that storyline was so huge that it still has an impact on what is happening with the group in terms of their cohesiveness, even now. So he's going to be missed.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, definitely will be.
Yeah. So that was the news that came out. Unfortunately, we have to get to the business of talking about the show. So let's talk about this episode. The episode was entitled "A New Beginning," which is season 9, episode 1, the season premiere. And this episode also marks a new beginning behind the scenes with The Walking Dead, because a lot of things are shifting and changing with the show. No longer is Scott M. Gimple the showrunner. Now you have Angela Kang, who I believe was on Talking Dead after the show. I didn't get a chance to check it out.
Yep.
Yeah, she was on there.
So yeah, she's a terrific writer. So hopefully, this episode was pretty good. So it was a good start, and she's been a solid writer on the show in the past. So we'll see what her vision is, and how well that the show will be under her stewardship. So, excuse me. And also, we know that it's the countdown to the exits of Maggie and Andrew Lincoln, Rick Grimes' character, Laurie Cohen, and so we know that those two things are going to happen this season. So it's really fitting a new beginning. So let's talk about this episode. It started off in a traditional Walking Dead uh, season one start.
So wait. I'm sorry to interrupt, but first, shouldn't we talk about the new opening?
Go ahead.
The new opening was amazing.
Yeah, it was. It's always solid. The opening
I,
is always solid.
it was so different from what we've seen, and also the last piece. It was not the walker in the field the way that we always see. There was there was a lot of rich symbolism in this very beginning, but boy, it sure does seem like maybe there's a lot more hope involved. It felt so fresh. I was actually really geeking out over that, over the way that they sort of stylized everything. The animation looked really cool, but it was everything that was sort of like in all of that that made me go, whoa, this is so neat. When's the last time we saw anything grow? I mean, like really grow, other than I guess the prison, but it felt like there was something even bigger happening with the tree and the leaves and the vines, and it just felt like, oh yeah, okay, there's hope and there's possibility in this opening, and it felt really good.
Yeah.
Did you guys think so too?
No. I
Yeah.
definitely agree. I felt like that the opening was very good, and you know, it's always been one of the best openings, you know, TV, that I've ever seen, on the show. I'm trying to get it all queued up so we can have it playing in the background. But yeah, it's pretty good
It
opening.
it it brought it was the right word I think is it was evocative. It stirred up so much that we haven't seen. Whereas in the past, it's always felt like this is the post-apocalypse and it is dreary and it is dead. Now we see something that feels more alive and more hopeful and something that carries with it a promise of something to come, as opposed to we have to deal with the past as sort of an issue. It's funny, the entire episode was titled so correctly because this entire episode felt so original and very new in both its approach to the cinema, the characters, the story, and also just in its approach to sort of even the language they were using felt so much more hopeful. That I think that's the right word. I'm trying to think if there's a better word for that, but at the moment, that's the best I've got. Did you guys feel the same way?
No, I agree with you. Hopeful is something that I think that the show doesn't always feel like, and I think we just talked about that on the last episode. How it's really the show has very little hope in it. Basically, the idea that when you die, you reanimate is very not hopeful. So,
Right.
but yeah, I see where you're going with it, and I do agree.
It had a nice fresh feel to it. Wasn't the same old thing, and some of it kind of gives you a little bit of a hint of maybe what's going to be uh, what's to come in this season.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I think what's to come in this season is that I think that it's big. Also, in seasons past, they've always sort of retweaked that opening to kind of give us a clue about what might be happening, where they might be going, little things here and there. This time, it feels like it's a totally different direction, and that's why that opening sequence feels so incredibly important because it really does feel like everything about this episode felt rebooted. And I don't say that lightly. I mean that seriously. It really felt different. I know that sounds ridiculous after 9 seasons, but wow, it did feel amazing. At least that's the way that I felt about it.
felt like it kind of got a little bit of a shot in the arm this season.
It did, and I was expecting for it to be, a little bit more tired, a little bit more tropey, a little bit more, okay, this is what's going to happen, and I'm just going to settle in and do this because it's my job. That's sort of how I've been feeling about The Walking Dead for a long time. But now I'm like, oh my God, did you see that? Did you see that? Oh, did you see that? And it was actually really cool. I did like it. I liked it a lot.
Yes. I want to give a shout out to I think it's Messy FTW. Hopefully I said that right in the chat room. And I see that there's more people that are listening, but haven't made themselves known in the chat room. Please do so. It's on the right side. It's the top chat, not the comment section. And if you post in the chat, we will definitely make sure that we recognize you. So I see several people are listening. So don't be afraid. Come in. None of us bite. Well, I don't bite.
Well, I don't really bite. I just kind of nibble.
I definitely don't bite, and even if I did, I'm not infected, so it's all good.
All right. Oh, okay. You want her cooties, is what she's saying.
Okay, I didn't say that, but yeah.
All right. So there's so much to unpack with this episode, and I really enjoyed the beginning scene at the Natural History Museum. I thought, I love the visual imagery inside the building, and I like the the glass and the walkers at the bottom and all of that kind of stuff, and I like this idea of, in a way, it's restarting society, right? And
Right.
so some of the things that they went to, they go to the Natural History Museum and get things that helped settle, the United States, to help resettle the United States once again, but in a different way because of what has happened. And I love that, love that imagery and what they decided to do there. And of course, we knew someone was going to fall in the glass,
Right.
and they made you feel like it was going to be Rick, but they did it kind of a switcheroo, and it ended up being Ezekiel. What did you guys think about that scene?
Well, I liked it.
Yeah, it's like I thought that was interesting, and he almost got bit. Daryl saved him. He almost got bit on the leg.
Yeah, those walkers, they really suck at getting the major cast people when they when
they get their mouth almost around them, and then they just can't follow through. But where that walker was going to bite him wouldn't hurt him anyway because he had on combat boots. Guess what? He was biting the boot.
Right. And it takes such a slow bite. It's like this slow, like it's gonna grab a hold, and it's like, no, these guys suck. I don't know if you guys can see my screen. I'm showing the from the episode, but I thought that was hilarious. The the lack of getting Ezekiel. Let me ask a silly question. Did anyone think that he was actually gonna bite it?
No. I didn't think he was going to not there. No, they would save him. But now the funny thing is like, okay, I'm looking at it and go, yeah, okay, the glass broke. He fell through, and like going, why didn't the wagon fall?
I know.
And I'm like, okay, the glass broke. Why didn't the wagon fall? Because the wheel was right there.
The wagon compromised the glass, and then the last person through was Ezekiel. So that's why. I mean, I could see that. That to me, that actually made sense.
And the beams actually. I guess those beams were pretty strong.
They were.
But yeah, I hear what you're saying though.
But that was also a great metaphor, right? Because first of all, there's this idea that they are. Okay, I know I'm going to get dorky here for a second, but first of all, they're walking on thin ice. That's sort of the big thing. Second thing is they're just barely hanging on, and then. No, I'm serious. This stuff really matters, right? And then the last thing is they are the glass sort of represents kind of the giving way of the old to the new. So as the old passes, the new gets to sort of take its place. You see that they got the old out of there. I mean, they did it. I feel like that was awesome. I loved it. It was beautiful.
Well, you didn't get dorky at all. Nope.
Oh, oh.
Not at all. It's like going, you don't get out much, do you?
Come on, everybody that knows me knows that this is my thing. Do you know how many movie partners I've lost due to this? Yeah, it's been a lot. So.
Now, what do you guys think about the idea of Carol and Ezekiel being together? I mean, it's been brewing for quite a while, but now, it's finally a part of the show in a real way, even though she's still playing coy.
Yeah, well, she was glad to have the Pookie approval. Did you catch that where she said, "Oh, I'm glad I have Pookie's approval"?
That was cute. Also,
where she called like Daryl Pookie and a few times throughout the different episodes.
Also, I was sitting with somebody as I was watching this, and again, that person was saying that why even offer marriage at this point? I mean, it's the apocalypse. What the heck? But I see this really differently. I see these little pop-up relationships as sort of an attempt to go back to normalcy. I mean, we were humans, and we want things to be in structured patterns. We want to have sort of the familiarity of what we have had before as a way to sort of placate ourselves as we move into something new. And so I can totally see why Ezekiel would be like, but I also see Carol, and I love what she said. Don't be handing me that thing. It's going to snag on everything. Like, she's so pragmatic. And that is just so Carol. So I personally love the relationship little vibe that I get from them. I also love that they are being so true to their characters. Ezekiel is just so over the top passionate, and Carol is just so sort of, again, just pragmatic to the core. And I liked that. I really did.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that relationship. From when it was first being, they had it out there, because I know everybody wanted Carol and Daryl to hook up. That never, for whatever reason, never happened. And then, Ezekiel, he's just been all over it, And so, I mean, shoot, it's the end of the world. Why not? Let's see. I'm marrying Megan. Or I think that person might have meant Negan in the chat room. But no, I think that I think they're a good match, and I think the differences in the way that they get down is good. I think she's good for him.
Yeah, she's a good balance for him.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They're a good balance for each other.
Yeah, I mean, he's a lot better than her first husband.
Also, can we just go back to that idea of who wants to marry Negan? Guys, come on. Hey. Nobody wants to marry Negan. That is just so... I mean, look, I have a bad boy complex myself, but Negan? Wow. I feel like we should just call out the fact that, okay, first of all, we didn't see Negan in this episode, which was, I think, by design. But the fact that he still is getting referenced is just so awesome, because he was so huge. When they walked into the Savior's place and they said, hey, how is Negan being treated? Or I forgot the exact line, but to me, that was like, I hope he's suffering. It was just such a huge part of everyone's lives up until this point. I'm so glad they didn't just like drop it and just like let it go, because I feel like that's what The Walking Dead has done in the past, and this felt really different.
Well, and then they had the writing on the wall. It's like, we are still Negan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's like saviors help us. We are still Negan.
I love that. Did anybody else get the idea that maybe Justin, maybe he is maybe one of those characters that's like still I am Negan?
Well, I think he wrote it because he said, well, I just used the last of the paint, so he couldn't paint over it. So I think he did it.
Maybe. That's a good
The boy,
possibility.
too.
I don't think he's going to be a very good character on this in this series or anything.
Wait, good.
I
Wait,
don't think
explain that, Olaf. Good as in good versus evil, or good as in he
I
just can't be very
I
good on
think
this
he's
show?
I just don't think he's going to be any good on this show at all. And I'm sorry, that's more just picking at you, Jen.
Yeah, I thought you were maybe spoiling for a fight, so I figured I'd ask.
Wait till you guys. That's gonna be the best moments ever.
In case y'all haven't noticed, Jen has a little bit of a crush on Justin there.
No, you don't say.
No, just a little bit of one.
I have to say that when, just along these same lines, when they walked into the Savior's place, once again, they do such a good job with their backgrounds and the setting that they have to make it feel even grungier, perhaps, than it was before. It feels so industrial in there, and you really get this overwhelming sense that things have not changed for the Saviors very much at all, except that they're hungrier than they
Right.
were before. But I love that. Once again, they didn't sort of pull a rabbit out of the hat and make the time jump feel like the Saviors are somehow doing better or that there is some magical rescue coming. They really made it feel like, yeah, they're actually really suffering. Because without Negan, the whole society that was the Saviors is now sort of it's
Floundering.
figureless. Yeah, it's floundering. That's a great word. Perfect, Olaf.
Now, hopefully, Justin will be able to hang around the series a little while.
You're so mean. You're so mean. Whew, I am not buying you a drink after this.
Oh, darn it.
Also, one other thing this is again goes back to how that they were treating the Saviors. I love that Daryl, of all people, who obviously spent time with the Saviors and explains to Rick, "I don't want to stay here anymore." I love how his interaction with Rick is basically to say, "I don't want to lead these people anymore," because I guess because I know sort of like where the show might be going, or I'm guessing that it might go. And it really seems like they are trying to kind of put Daryl in a position where he's less of a like where he's going to be a reluctant leader. Somebody who has to really step up because he just doesn't want to be in this position anymore. I found that really interesting. What did you guys think?
Well, I think him not wanting to be there is simply just because there was a lot of bad stuff that happened to him there, and he probably doesn't feel like the people there are going to really respect him as a leader.
Yeah, but he also didn't want to go back to Alexandria. He wanted
No,
to go
he
to
wanted to go to
Hilltop.
Hilltop. Yeah, because he wanted to go with, but he wanted to be with Maggie and the baby.
Right, but knowing how close I feel like knowing how close Daryl has been with Rick, it feels like maybe there's some other kind of schism going on. But also, we all have to remember the very last episode of The Walking Dead where they basically have that meeting in Maggie's office, and it's Daryl and Maggie and the things that they say about the fact that Negan is still alive and why that's such an irrecoverable sin to sort of deal with gives me the impression that not only is Daryl on board, but he's still really reeling from it. But still, I mean, I'm just going to go back to this. I still feel like, Daryl could put himself in a position of being really dangerous to the Saviors. And I don't mean dangerous like, I am Negan with the bat. I mean dangerous like if he wanted to exact revenge out of them, he could do all kinds of things behind the scenes if he's orchestrating stuff. And he chooses to walk away from it. So there's something tired about Daryl right now, just exhausted. Like I need to check out a little bit. Well, I think that's really valid, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I see going for this show in this season is the soap opera angle, even to a higher level. A lot of poor man's Game of Thrones, if you will, in the back.
Yeah, I can see that.
I see that there's going to be a lot of that. That's going to be what what pushes the storyline to a certain point. One thing I was a little disappointed in was the last season ended with this Godfather scene, between Maggie and Daryl, and uh, I don't. I haven't really, I don't. It doesn't seem like that is still going on. At least not the way that it kind of seemed like, it was, that they were planning something and all of that. Unless they're gonna re-engage with that, and it kind of gave hints to that. But so much time has jumped. I would figure they would have put whatever plan that they were talking about um, in motion.
Possibly, but that may speak to, and this is also part of the episode. I think Maggie's long game to try to maybe not take control from Rick, but yeah, maybe take control from Rick is sort of much more strategic than just a hungry power grab. Like I can see why she would want to build up resources first and then use them as leverage both against Rick and the Saviors.
Mhm.
At the moment, the big issue is the bridge is out, and so any place that they need to go is going to create a massive walk around, which they don't want. So I think she's more than willing to help rebuild the bridge, but I think she is putting herself in a chess position for some bigger strategy down the road against Rick, and sort of like doing it right, doing the things that I think she thinks have hindered Rick all the way up until this point, not being as again just as strategic, but not playing kind of the longer game in all of this. And I see Maggie as being so much more intelligent than we give her credit for. So I can totally see that that's what she would be doing.
I'm a little disappointed that Gregory. I mean, it was a good scene. Him. It really thrusted the season having him hung like that. But I think they could have used like it was kind of hacky the way that he tried to kill her. It was pretty corny the way they did it. Like I wish that they had played it out a little bit longer before it would have gave it more gravitas. It just seemed kind of like they pushed that, and then they I guess they wanted that ending in that first episode. But I like the idea of that he had lost the election and that he is now using some cunning to try to get back into power. But the way it played itself out was kind of hacky.
Fake news. I thought that was pretty funny myself,
Right.
actually.
Yeah, and let's see, he goes to the couple that their son died, and let's see, they just happen to have a drinking problem.
Right.
And he just happens to keep pouring like here. Well, and then I'm sorry, where did they come up with the cloak for this guy to look like the Grim Reaper? You know, and yeah, and you could just tell he was trying to play things to get rid of Maggie.
And that the lady who played the mother, oh my God, her name is she had a TV show back in the day, the comedian.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that and I'm like going, wow. I haven't seen her for a while.
Because she was big back in the day. Oh my God.
I can't think of it either. I know. It's like when I saw her, I'm like going, I know her.
Let me pull it up. I know I should know it. I should have taken a note. But yeah, that was good to see her. She's a Brett Butler. That's her name. Yeah, that was cool. And John Finn played her husband, and John Finn, was on like NYPD Blue.
Right.
He was on the X-Files, a bunch of other stuff too. Yeah, he's a good actor. They had some really good actors on the show. They're doing pretty good with their casting.
Yeah, and their casting, I don't know. Of course, now they could have probably casted somebody a little different for Justin, though. I don't know. They could have picked. I don't think he's the right person for that part.
Yeah, yeah. We'll let them slide on that
one. Just speaking about casting, right? Did you guys notice how with the cast that they had, that they were. I realized this is going to be bigger later, with some massive casting choices as they do some new things. But in this episode, did you notice how tight each narrative chunk was? It was so well coordinated, and this is the trick of, I think, writing a multi-location, multi-character series. When you can really make the focus about the people who are involved with that really, again, it's just tight narrative style. There were longer takes in this episode for season 9, and everything felt so different about how they functionally decided to tell the story. So from a technical aspect, both the writing and the direction, it really felt different. In fact, a friend of mine who I was just talking to a couple of minutes ago messaged me and said it felt like they rebooted this so that it could bring in a CW crowd, which I thought was an interesting idea. It's not, they're not younger actors, but it still has that sort of like, it's got a fresher feel to it. I think that's what she was saying.
The Zombie Diaries.
The Zombie Diaries. Yes, there we go. God, I'll tell you, if the zombies start getting love interests, I'm out of there.
Oh,
Yeah. Let's not go down that road.
Yeah, don't give them ideas.
Right. Please, I hope they're not listening. Great idea. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's have them walk into it's like a Walker wedding. Yes, okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah, the wedding of the century. I love the scarecrow though. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's like now Justin was helping to string up the Walker in the garden there, and let's see, Daryl shot it in the head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder why he did that. Why did Daryl do that? I don't know. There was no explanation for that. I feel like that was a longer cut that we probably could have seen.
Justin. He's like me and Olaf. He just hates Justin, you know.
Oh, God, whatever, you guys. I'm trying to be so serious about the story.
I'm serious.
I'm being
and you're
serious.
Still on Zach.
I'm being serious. Okay. All right. It's like for
why
those of you,
why
who
did Daryl do that? Why?
Yeah, for those you don't know, I'm picking Zach McGowan was. It's like Charles Vane from it's like Black Sail. So I'm just picking on her about him.
We could also do a podcast later on Death Race Anarchy, in which Zach McGowan played the lead character. So, we could do that too. But let's just stick to The Walking Dead.
Let's not do it and say we do
it. Okay, I've sidetracked us enough. I'll leave Zach alone now.
Yeah. Leave my Zach.
I am curious. I am really curious. Why? Why couldn't they put the Walker up as a scarecrow? And also, okay, so I have my own theories about this, but let's talk about the symbolism of the crows.
Mm-hmm.
Crows are usually the harbinger of death.
Right.
So scaring death away from death that seemed like a pretty pivotal kind of a moment. And Daryl said, no, we don't scare death with death. That, I don't know. There was some message in that. I don't know exactly what it was, but I feel like that was a longer take and that got edited out because something didn't quite click with my brain in that.
Well, I don't quite understand why he shot, killed the Walker and said, no, you're not doing that. Because, putting that up there as a scarecrow, I would think it would work pretty good. But, like I said, then shooting him in the head, I didn't quite get why he did that either.
Now that we're talking about it, though, maybe it was this. Maybe it was, Negan used the Walkers as deterrence for a lot of things. And maybe this was Daryl's way of saying, we don't do that stuff anymore. Maybe this was Daryl's way of saying, this is new, okay? We don't do things the way that Negan used to do things. Maybe that was just him putting his foot down about it. Maybe that's part of it.
That could be it because, like you say, numbers. Daryl, he doesn't want to stay there because of all that happened to him when he was there. So he doesn't really want to stick around, I don't think. But now that you mentioned that is probably a really good explanation of why he shot the walker and said, "Nope, we're not doing that anymore," because that's the old way. We're going to do it a new way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just talking about it brought that up. So, yeah, I can see that would be. But didn't they also show the crows at the very end?
I
At the
don't know.
very end of the episode, didn't they also show not not the end with Gregory, but before that, didn't they show the crows again?
I don't remember.
I think that they
Mm,
showed the crows at least twice. And so it makes me think that we're not done. I mean, we're not done with that. Like that might signal something. Okay, Daryl says we're not done with, or we are done with Negan. Justin and AKA the Saviors, as a representative, says no, 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 no. We are still Negan.
hmm
I mean, that feels like it makes some logical sense. I'm just purely speculating here, but it does feel like that could be a direction.
Um. Also, let's talk about Gabriel. He's wearing Carl's hat. Well, which is Rick's hat. What do you guys think about that?
That was interesting.
And it really is a nice look for him.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, he looks pretty cool with the eye and the hat and the. That looks pretty dope. That's a dope look.
I feel like anybody who wears Rick's hat on purpose is just asking for trouble.
No, I'm saying. Well, look, let's pull it up since you want to act like that's not cool. Come on, pretty
You
cool.
don't think it's cool?
No, I'm saying, isn't that cool? That's a
I
cool.
I I I don't know. I mean, I get why Gabriel would want to honor Carl's memory and wear his hat, but I don't know. I also have issues with people that hold on to stuff from the dead because every time in The Walking Dead that you
I'm
don't.
not talking about that. I'm talking about just aesthetically. The
Oh,
look.
are you talking about just how handsome was he? Okay, yes, he was super handsome in
I'm
that.
not saying handsome. I'm just saying it looks pretty dope.
He was pretty handsome. Gabriel's a pretty handsome guy.
Okay. Well, I'll get you his number.
Yeah, okay. Hey, that's cool. I'll buy him Olaf's drink since Olaf's being so mean to me.
there you go.
Olaf, you meanie.
I know. It's like I'm having a mean streak today, so I don't know. I,
No. I just wanted to point that out. Um, I think
I really I just want to say one thing. This episode was really basically the thread that held it together was the death of Ken, right? Ken, the sort of the blacksmith, the metal worker's son,
mhm,
and Ken's death. It every death in The Walking Dead is always significant in some way, right? Except for the walkers. But I felt like this was so much more because we don't often see funerals on The Walking Dead. We see them bury the dead. You know, sometimes we hear them say a couple of words. Oftentimes it's Rick saying those words. This time, it not only was it removed, but even Maggie wasn't there. So it was sort of just the people that were, and it goes
well,
back to that idea of they need some kind of normalcy and closure around what's happening. So they're going back to sort of old, well, not old, but pre apocalypse feelings. Like you have to bury the dead with dignity, you bury the dead with toasts and with songs. And it's like they're trying very hard to, even in the apocalypse, pick up those pieces. This just felt very important as kind of a story function. Maybe I'm the only one that thinks that, but I really felt like it was imperative that we understand that not just are people still grieving, but the people are grieving and they're trying to sort of find a way to work through it. Does that make
but
sense?
yeah, somewhat. But now Maggie wasn't there because she was told not to be there.
Well, that's true, but I'm just saying that she wasn't there, whether by design or accident or good writing. It was still the people, the hilltop people who conducted and did everything, and that
Right.
seems very significant to me. It was a leaderless organization of people for a ceremony that is normally, almost every time we see it on The Walking Dead, heralded by a leader. And the reason that I think that this is important is we saw Michonne at the beginning of this episode in the History Museum looking at We the People. And there was a lot of talk about reforming sort of the idea of basic democracy, basic human rights, or basic civil rights, I guess I could say. And it's Michonne that's basically leading the way on that. But when you look at how that ceremony was put together, it was put together by the people for the people, no leaders. And that, again, it just feels significant to The Walking Dead in terms of where we may be going in the future with sort of the reorganization of society.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Wow. It's so funny.
Me thinks you think too much.
No,
yes, I'm still picking on you. I'm sorry.
no,
It's okay. I know it's out of love, so I'm okay. I'm all right.
no. I think that's pretty very well said. I mean, one thing I love about you again is you always give us more to think about than you make it much more awesome than we even realize. So thank you. I really do appreciate that.
Well, my nerd self says you're so welcome.
But I have to bring up something else that I think you would appreciate. Jen, that he's credited in this, but I don't remember seeing him in there. Is Ryan Hurst? Ryan Hurst is was Opie on Sons of Anarchy.
Oh yeah, where was he?
Yeah, I'm looking. They said he was in this episode, and he's going to be on the whole season. So remember, he was a very beloved character on Sons of Anarchy, and
God, yeah,
he had an untimely death on the show, but that made people just love this guy, even more so. So when I saw that name, I was like, hey, wait a minute, that's that's him, so.
He was so great on Bates Motel. He was one of the best characters on Bates Motel too. So I'm sure he will do great on The Walking Dead.
Yeah, so he's done quite a bit of stuff. Pretty cool.
I don't know. I don't know what is he? Who is he supposed to play? Oh, he's supposed to play a character named you know what? It just totally left me now. He's supposed to play another. It was on the Walking Dead wiki. Who he was supposed to play, and I don't know if we've seen him yet because I think he's part of another group that's about to come in. At least I've heard whispers about it.
I got what you were doing there.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not very good at hiding.
He was Beta.
Beta.
Yeah.
There we go. Yes.
And it has him here as in all the episodes. So, and also he's going to be on the new season of Bosch, which if you haven't seen Bosch, it's a great show on Amazon Prime. So, great show. They have a hell of a cast this season. Wow.
Yeah, I think just from an overall perspective, I definitely think that if you haven't been watching The Walking Dead because hashtag billions of reasons, which I would probably sympathize with and understand, I have to say that season 9 really does feel very narratively different. It feels fresher. It feels more in control. There are not as many sort of loose hanging threads, although those, we could weave an entire tapestry out of from the previous seasons. This season feels much more in control of its own story. And this is only one episode, so obviously I don't know where it's going, but I like it. I felt very reassured by watching this episode that season 9 was headed in a good direction.
Oh, and I stand. I'm going to interrupt here. I stand corrected. He fell through the floor when he was carrying the plow, not when he was pushing the wagon.
Right.
Yes.
It was the plow.
Right. Okay. So I stand corrected. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So this is a comic book character, Beta.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, this is gonna be him on the show. Oh, okay. He still has the.
And
He
do you
still.
know what the without any spoilers or anything, do you know excuse me, do you know why they call the Whisperers the Whisperers?
No, why?
Because they do this very unique thing where they wear walker skin
Oh
so
yeah.
that they can't be detected. Yeah, that's them.
Please, yeah.
Whew, can't wait to see
He
this.
still has the Sons of Anarchy look. You know when he finished the show,
That's a lot of skin to cover that guy, let me tell you.
that when he finished the show, Sons of Anarchy, and I know this is not a Sons of Anarchy podcast, but he was so connected to the character that a year later the cast had to literally shave him like in a ceremony just so he can let the character go.
Oh,
Yeah, like it's on the internet somewhere. So yeah, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
that is crazy. Oh my gosh. But wow. So I assume we could think that he does quite a bit of method acting then, if he is that connected to the character.
yeah. He was like, wait, here it is, right here. Like they're like, this is. I'm not watching Sons of Anarchy. See, they like Charlie Hunnam had to see. This is like maybe a year later.
Oh wow.
They had to like see they had to cut it.
See, it's so funny because on Bates Motel he plays such an interesting, different character.
Mhm.
So he's got a good range.
Yeah. I didn't remember it was with the katana. Like that's a lot of trust there. Like, see, he's like crying and stuff. He was like emotional about it. Look at,
Aw, poor guy. Aw,
yeah,
oh, jeez, that's so sad.
didn't let it go or something like that. Yeah.
Wow, what a good guy. What a good guy.
Okay.
Well, we'll get to see him if what he's playing on The Walking Dead is that second in command character. Then we'll get to see a lot of him
Yeah.
on this coming season of The Walking Dead because that's a pretty heavy part of what's happened. What I think is going to happen, at least in terms of where the story is going. If the Whisperers are as big of a part of the story as the Saviors were the last time, we will probably see a lot of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah. Wait, what's the let me pull this up real quick. So what was he was with Negan? This character?
No, he wasn't with Negan.
Oh, okay, because I just shows him with Negan right here.
Where?
The picture on my screen.
Oh, you mean in the comic?
Yeah.
I'm trying to now I'm going to really struggle to remember, so don't get mad if I remember this wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was that piece. There's a bigger piece for him coming soon. And that definitely wasn't in the show.
Oh, okay.
So we probably shouldn't focus on it.
Well, I mean, we still, yeah, why not?
Although it's interesting because maybe, I mean, The Walking Dead does this really well, right? Maybe they have a backstory and that backstory is going to come out. Maybe there's something with the Negan character and him that we will see unfold in real time in the present, but we'll also have like a big backstory to it that more closely follows the comics. So that certainly is a good possibility. They're really creative about that kind of stuff. So you never know.
All right. So the last thing I want to focus on is Maggie and Rick's last meeting, as well as the hanging of Gregory. Maggie was being called out as being basically Rick's bitch, basically. And it didn't sit well with her because obviously she has the issues with him due to the whole Negan situation. And so when they were having their tussle, threw that in their face, it definitely resonated with her because the next time they had their meeting, she definitely changed her tone with Rick. So we're getting a little bit of the way that the last season ended. with this change of tone with Rick, and then also she decided to execute Gregory. So, what do you guys? I mean, are we starting to see Maggie go to the dark side? She tried to tell everybody this is just a one-time thing. I have to let you guys know what happens. And poor Gregory cried. I mean, I guess I would be trying to do anything I could to get out of that hangman's noose, but, 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 uh, so what do you think about this Maggie executing or putting him to death, and how do you think that's going to affect her standing with the rest of the group?
I think part of it is like she's trying to establish it's, I would say, a bit of a power play. In other words, she's trying to establish, again, like Jen said, like the normalcy and what it used to be. In other words, if you tried to kill somebody before, you wound up hanging for it, things like that. So she's trying to, in a way, I think she's trying to work things back to that. And as far as the people on the hilltop, her hanging him is going to send a message basically to them that you don't want to mess with Maggie, because she's going to set things right, and not going to put up with people trying to hurt anybody else. And I was like, this is a one-time thing. She can probably hold to that as it being a one-time thing, but in reality, once you start doing that, things are going to come up where the punishment fits the crime, and there's going to have to be more hangings.
I was just going to say, how many times on The Walking Dead do we need to be reminded, the governor, anybody, that might does not make right, and that as much as I hate Gregory, because I really, really hated him, he deserved a trial. If they're really going to go to normalcy, then they can't skip the justice. And that's the problem that all of these quasi leaders have, is that they skip the part where we talk about justice, and they go straight from you're doing something to you're guilty and you're dead. And that's the problem.
Well, but that goes back to the old West. In other words, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, all that. In Old West, you got caught, but your hand in the cookie jar, you got it cut off. There wasn't much of a trial. Judge would come in and say, "What did he do? Okay, that's what he did. Hang him."
Right.
So I mean, in other words, old West style justice was, you did something, you paid for it. You didn't get to sit around in jail and wait on it. You got judged you got judged right then and there.
I get that. Okay, I do get that. and as a mom, I totally agree, because with Maggie, because if somebody had threatened even half the harm that I thought was being perpetrated on myself, and then in the proximity of my child, I would probably react very similarly. But I think we have to take a longer view of The Walking Dead and look at what consequentially these things usually mean. And what they usually mean is, once again, skipping justice is a shortcut to, like Kinte said, the dark side. This is where everything begins to break down. When and I get this sense that what is maybe being set up here is Maggie is, it's not that people will lose faith in Maggie. It's that, remember, again, going back to the Michonne thing, look, we want to set up a charter that says we will treat each other in the way that that this is the new order of things. The new order of things is we're all going to behave according to these standards, and we're going to expect the same from each person. And it feels like Maggie is an outlier. And this may be a point of contention. If your leader is willing to hang someone without any presentation of the evidence against them, and especially if they're a past leader, it really does sort of set a very bad precedent. Also, there are a bunch of people right now at Hilltop who were past saviors, or at least I think so. And they were brought in, and she was not happy with them, and they were kept in a pen, and they were kept in a cage. She didn't kill them. Obviously, this is much more serious, I think, maybe in terms of how she's viewing it. Once again, I think because her kid is involved. But there's something has switched in Maggie that, at least from a character perspective, feels like it is far more direct, and I don't want to say unscrupulous, but there's a little bit more of an insidiousness in her that I didn't see before. So as glad as I am to see Gregory go, because I hated his whiny, snivelly character.
Really?
Yeah, I figured.
Great actor. I remember him from 24. He was great.
I wasn't super excited about the way that Maggie as a character handled that. It just, wow. I think it's going to end up coming back to haunt her.
Yeah.
Do you think possibly her actions in hanging Gregory will be part of, her exit from the show?
I think that's why they set it up the way they set it up. I think especially because there were children involved. There was a child there when she got attacked, her child, but there were also two children, and this could not possibly have been by mistake. I mean, obviously they wanted us to know that kids saw the hanging.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean, and how do we interpret what that could possibly mean going forward? And I think it's a big plot milestone. Like, stick a pin right here, because this is important. Everyone pay attention. And Michonne picked it up right away. So, and I feel like this is going to be part of what Michonne is going to put together as her charter. That seems to be a piece of the puzzle.
All right. Well, it's going to be interesting how this season plays itself out. I think it was a good start, and I'm looking forward to what comes next.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good start, good first episode, and yeah, I think it's going to be a good season.
Also, big shout out to Aiden's song. That was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Aiden's song. It was sweet. It was bittersweet, but I mean, it was really sweet. Good job. Good job, Aiden.
All right, so let's start off with you, Jen. How can people get you in social media and all that good stuff?
People can follow me on Twitter at followingbliss1, and they can find me on the web at criticallaughs.com or moviesmakethemeal.com.
All right. And what about you, Olaf?
Well, you can stalk me on both Facebook and Twitter at Olaf Barbosa, but just don't stalk too close, because I do get nervous and I do have an itchy trigger finger. Oh, you got one.
I was waiting on. Hey, I had to step my game up.
There you go. Alrighty. And Kinte, how can people follow you?
Yes. You get me at Kinte F on Twitter. You can also go to, you can follow Indie Radio at Indie Radio ORG on Twitter as well. So Indie Radio's on Twitter and Instagram, Indie Radio, INDY Radio. You can go to our website, indieradio.org. That's INDYradio.org. We'll be back, of course, next week with an all new episode of the Talking About Walkers, the Walking Dead podcast, as well as tomorrow night, Men and Women Talk Mars Venus show. We'll be talking about long distance relationships, like the long distance relationship that Jen has with Zach McGowan.
Man, that's a really long distance relationship. I don't even know if we could get there.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. That's at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, right here on Indie Radio.
It's an awesome show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Also on Wednesdays, we're going to be regularly at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern. We'll be doing our show, Talking Mayans MC. And then following that up with at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 Eastern, we will have the Spotlight. So those will be back to back on Wednesdays. We have a great guest for for Wednesday's show, the Spotlight. So I'm looking forward to that. So we're going to be very busy coming up for this next couple of months until the end of the year. So I'm very excited about it. Looking forward to just mixing it up with you guys, and so it's going to be a great rest of the year. So this comes to the close of this weekend. It's been a very interesting, eventful weekend, and I'm looking forward to this week coming up. Tomorrow's a holiday. Christopher Columbus Day. I can't stand. But that's tomorrow. So some people have it off, some people don't. I guess it's like one of those regional holidays. I think is the way they describe it.
Mm.
So, but with that said, you guys have a great week. We will see you next time right here on indieradio.org. God bless you.
Thanks for